So I'd encourage and recommend the practice of walking meditation or walking in a contemplative way. Or if that's not possible or suitable, at least practicing with the eyes open, sense doors open. This is so we get to experience contact more decisively, more clearly. And so walking in a contemplative way is not quite the same as walking to get anywhere, because that's not the point of it. The point of it is to experience movement, and to make the movement of the body as fluid and comfortable as possible. So it's not sort of jerking along, not slouching, not twisted, not hunched, but walking as if you're swimming, standing up a fluid walk, because that provides the calming, soothing aspect for citta, just as breathing in and out does, the rhythmic process. Rhythm is soothing, if it's a soothing rhythm. So how fast you walk and how slow you walk is dependent on what meets your energies where they're at and brings them into good balance, attunement. You might need to pick up. You might need to slow down. You might need to walk small paces, longer paces. Try not to be just mechanical, like a kind of wind-up clockwork walker who shuttles to and fro on a meditation path. Just experience the body, how it walks, how it moves, its synergies, its connections between the legs and the back and the shoulders. And so ideally, walking in a contemplative way is a kind of subtle massage, exploration of the body's connectivity. Whereas when we think of it, we tend to think of walking as something legs do or feet do. This is very common, the body's kind of cut in half. So you combat that, just walk, beginning in your lower back, where the pelvis, top of the pelvis, and feel that lifting and turning of the pelvis. Keep the leg light. So if you're really aiming to lift and turn the pelvis and let the leg kind of trail out from the initial movement in the pelvis, in the lower waist region. Then you get the flexing in the waist, the abdomen. Leg is light, it's not tense, because we're not aiming to get anywhere. Just let it, roll it out. And then as it comes down, you feel the body sensing contact with the earth, and then shifting its weight onto one leg, allows the other leg to be lifted. Lifting from the hip, lifting from the lower back. And you get this turn. This rhythmic fluidity between the upper and lower body is what provides the calming, soothing and holistic aspect of citta cultivation. So not walking with our feet, walking with the whole body. How your shoulders angle to counterbalance the weight as you move along. It changes the torso. Torso slightly turns. At least that's my advice, because if it's not turning, what's happening? Legs are cut off, the body is somehow locked. Whenever the body's locked, tendency is then what occurs is energy goes up into the head, and we're thinking about walking, or trying to get it right, or trying to concentrate, or how long to do it for, or as if your head is directing the walking. Really, it's the body sensing its environment. You can imagine in the time of the Buddha, they didn't have nice, smooth, paved paths. You're walking through a dirt floor. So feet are quite sensitive. Whole body sensing its environment, its immediate environment. And contact. We feel space around us, we feel warmth or lack of it around us. We feel energy within us, slow or reluctant or pushy. And that's the way it seems. Internal world, external world. Seems like that, doesn't it? The internal world, the person lives in there, doing the meditation. External world around me, pleasant, unpleasant, beautiful, not very nice, long path, short path, external world. This is what the sense consciousness does. Divides the world, divides experience, the internal and external aspects. But if we really abide in citta, you see actually internal and external are slightly, they're dependent. They're not realities, they're not independent realities. The internal world can be affected by the external world, can't it? Sunny day, lovely stroll. Cold day, boo. Don't want to do this, or a simple thing like that. The internal world can affect the external world. The external world, our moods, our eagerness, lack of it, can make the world seem very difficult, hostile, or comfortable. The external world stimulates, affects, conditions the internal world. Internal world conditions, affects the external world. To be walking along, one can experience cold, difficult, world out there. Another person, agreeable trees, shining light, space, rather pleasant. And so these are worlds, these two worlds are really very variable and interactive. And so eventually you just recognize whatever arises, internal, external, changeable, dependently arising, conditioned, not something that can be made solid. And therefore, the clinging mechanism releases. You can't make it solid. You can't make it exactly right. You can't make it last. You can't make it stop. You can't make it go away. You can't attain a final position in any of this. We have to learn that, because most of our life, most of the time, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Carve out a position. This is bhava, becoming. Of course, it affects the physical environment. It's in my place. I like it this way. And more obviously, it affects our social environment. I've got my position in the Sangha, in the monastery, it's that. Whatever it is, I want to know that. Fine. Safe in that, comfortable in that, okay in that. Not rejected in that, accepted within that, on that. There's a constant search, and then in meditation, can I get to that nice space, that state? Got it. I'm okay. And searching this fixity, and so, of course, this in our lives is rather trivial. Can get obsessive about your meditation path, I guess. Nobody else can walk on it. People do get these obsessive tendencies in monasteries, because that's when you see it. It seems so ridiculous to get, fixated on my mug, or my zafu, and yet so you see it because it seems so absurd. But of course, it's playing out in much grosser and more damaging ways in the world in general: territory, nationality, power, status, defense policies, aggression, domination. And the sense of interdependence is not understood. Dependent arising and interdependence. The whole COVID thing is really, people say it's because of it came from China. It didn't come from China, it came from our unchecked, abusive relationship to our fellow creatures. Abusive, unchecked slaughter, marketing of animals. So the pathogens transfer from the animals to the humans. And we do that. It was the same with SARS, MERS, AIDS, West Nile virus, all of it. And we still don't get it because we want to have it. We're not prepared to live in a non-abusive relationship. So the way we support that, we don't say we're being abusive, we just don't recognise other creatures as having any real valid existence. Therefore there's no abuse because there's nothing else there. The internal world of our appetites and habits and obsessions means that other creatures don't even figure in terms of that which is worthy or valid or to be receptive to. And that's the way it works. You get this bhavatana blots out. The fixation on me and mine blots out the other. We do it to other creatures, we do it to other humans. Yeah. We do it to the past. We forget, we're not grateful, we blot that out. We don't own up to our faults and weaknesses and we just shut it off. We don't recognise the mind states that are prevalent in the present come from causes and conditions that were established in the past and therefore need to be addressed compassionately, skillfully. We're just trying to find a safe place where we won't be bothered by things. And vibhava. Get me away from those things. I don't have to experience contact. Real contact. I want to experience the internal world being able to surmount and suppress the external world. Or get away from it. Defend, barricade, look the other way. When we do this to our own habits, just shrug it off. No, that's done, finished. Because otherwise what happens, you go back to your internal habits and then you don't want to get judgmental and anguished and, oh, I wish I wasn't this, I wish I wasn't that. That's not addressing it from citta. Addressing from citta is recognising that's why it was unskillful. Because it went there. And it gives rise to that. And often we don't address it because we don't have a way to meet that. Just go into a kind of numb state, helpless. This is why the citta does need to be replenished and strengthened, where we have the grandeur, the dignity and the self-respect to be able to address with compassion and sensitivity, the damage we cause to ourselves and others, have caused, or the damage that's been done to us. At that point, and you feel it at that point of contact. So you're not just going through an abstract list of, in 19 I did this, and in 2005 I did that, and I should never have said that, and they're like this, and they did this to me, and statistics. Just sensing what arises. Because we're not looking at statistics, we're looking at what citta retains. Some things have already just, not really there for me. So we want to keep open the citta to see what's there. Walking meditation certainly does that, because as you're walking along, in that more fluid, open medium, stuff comes up, memories, opinions, views. And you think, that's what. Staying open to that, not just contracting it, clamming down on it, dumping it, but how is this walked through? How do I get the energy of the body fluid, heart open, and responding with some kind of sense of sensitivity, clarity, goodwill, release, release, release. And this is the way. It's rather like you want to make the citta so it's healthy enough to do that, not just shrug it off. It's rather like I use the image of, if you want to take a thorn out of your foot, you might put, and it's been there for many years, you put the foot in warm water. So flesh becomes softer sometimes, then you can easily take it out because the flesh has opened up through the warmth. Do this with your citta, and placing something warm, comfortable, rhythmic, fluid. The citta fibres open up. There's that bit. Oh, no. Let's have a look at that. Okay. Notice what was there. Relinquish. The regret, the self, the world that arises. Because what really is being experienced beneath the stories, beneath the histories, contact, feeling, craving. Craving to get rid of something, craving to have something, craving to be something else, wishing it wasn't there. Dumping, forming worlds. You can find ourselves forming opinions about ourselves and others. It's her fault. Right, dumped. Nice, fixed it. That's her. It's his fault. Dumped, fixed it. Solid. Yeah. It's my father's fault. Yeah. Mother's fault. God's fault. And what are we doing? We're creating something solid that we can then try to dump. Get rid of that uncomfortable feeling, uncomfortable memory. It doesn't work, because you can do that for years. Blaming yourself, blaming others. Do it for years and it doesn't take the thorn out. Let's get to that. What's really being experienced is uncomfortable feeling, contact, and this arising volition, agitation, stirred. Let me get away, stop, want, don't want. And you work on releasing that that urge to get away, to have. And this sankhara, this activation. And how do you do that? Generally, well, it's what we're practicing with. But often it's recommended, what you see is these more fluid qualities. So breathing is fluid, it's not a fixed point. It's a fluid rhythmic energy. Walking is a fluid rhythmic energy. And this gentle fluidity helps to just soothe that agitation, and that fixity loosens it. Loosens it. And eventually I can be with the feeling rather than constantly in it. And so often the stilling of the sankhara, calming of the sankhara, of the agitation, the stirring, until we accept there is painful feeling, there is pleasant feeling. Yeah. And the beauty of this is karma in a nutshell, really. The feeling, if it activates, there's activation around it, then we're going to go back to that feeling again. You get the result: contact, activation, agitation. The result is you don't. The feeling is not released, it's just recycled. And in retreats, you can get these obsessive cycles where something starts off and it builds up and builds up and builds up. And you go through these processes where some obsession from the past or the future or the present starts whirring away. And the agitation stimulates more feeling, impressions, that stimulates more, it becomes obsessive, the mind gets gripped in it. Until it's difficult to see out of it, and eventually something just kind of collapses. But that catharsis isn't the way out either, because it comes back again. So we're looking at something much more cool and wise. So we have the phrases liberation of citta and liberation of wisdom, or liberation by citta and liberation by wisdom. And not to get too technical, but complete liberation by citta is really, a formless states, and whereby these synergies, these activations, don't occur, because there's nothing to occur in. But the more accessible degrees of liberation of citta are liberation from greed, some degree of liberation from greed, hatred, confusion, so there's a sense of a steady, competent, focused citta, with a good degree of skillful faculties, indriyas, enlightenment faculties. And the liberation through wisdom occurs through healthy citta approaching contact, and releasing contact. Doesn't mean what we might immediately think. It means that don't contact. It means that the point of contact does not stimulate this stirred agitation. This is called ceasing. So, for example, when we have one's eyes open, but not focused on anything, and then you say, something strikes my eye. That's contact. You can have your ears open, listening, and some sound strikes the ear. That's contact. That's the arising of it. And then, what's that bird? There's contact, mental contact. So you get the auditory contact, mental contact. That's a bird. I wonder if they're hungry. Oh, yeah, put out some nuts, and you get the activations of the mind. And then I, birds. Well, actually what arose was just hearing. There was no... at the very point of contact, there's no external, internal, it's just the experience of the arising of a phenomenon, which as the mind picks it up, splits into two directions, the birds and me. And then comes the shoot the bird or feed the bird, depending on your tendencies. The world arises from contact. The self arises from contact. It's not that there's some body being contacted. In the world of citta, there's contact. As contact happens, the self and the world arise dependent upon contact. Right? Which the initial contact, it's called patikapassa, means something is disturbed, hearing, oh, what's that? You can feel that stimulation. And second kind of contact, mental contact, called naming contact, adivajjanapassa, that's a bird. And then all the meanings that come up with that word, cute little thing, furry, feathers, pretty, hungry, cold, and then go feed the bird, or damn crow, shoot it. So they're the meanings, sanya, and they trigger volitions, sankharas, cetana, volitions. And therefore, this is kind of what occurs. And the point of meaning or impression gives rise to mental feeling. So you only have two bases of feeling. The eye doesn't feel anything, the ear doesn't feel anything. The bases of feeling are the body, tactile, you get that hit, and mental. Mental feeling is based upon sanya, impression. That means bird, pleasant feeling. Well, that means, noisy engine, unpleasant feeling. That means, my friend, pleasant feeling. That means hostile stranger, unpleasant feeling. So these are feeling. Sanya generates feeling. Feeling triggers volition. Volition stirs. With the stirring of the volition, the arising of a person who is stirred. A person who is stirred trying to act upon that stirring, either to get rid of that which is stirred, or to get hold of it, or to run away from it, or to whatever. All the kind of psychologies arise when the world and the self have arisen. Yeah. And it goes on and it never ends. Because the sense fields occupy different domains, it seems like it ends because, I got rid of the bird, that's fine, totally comfortable now, that's sorted, managed it. If only there wasn't that draft coming through the window, I'll be okay. Fix the draft. Right, that's okay. Apart from that, what's that stain doing on the wall? I'll just get that fixed and then, I just remembered it's my cousin's birthday. I could, and then, so we don't recognise the same pattern just hops from one sense door to another sense door. And the pattern is create a fixed reality which will not bother me, which will be comfortable for me. And it hops. Because we keep hitting the place of discomfort, dukkha. Yeah. And that's swinging around. And so someone who's resolutely found their place or continues to incline towards finding their place, their real place, the place of attention, the place of established citta, senses, stimulation. Let's just settle. Agitation. Let's just settle. Feeling trapped. Let's just relax. Feeling urgent. Let's sense how that experience in my body and soothe. Not because these are wrong, but the compulsiveness of it is the issue. Definitely not wrong. There's no such thing as a bad feeling. Feelings are pleasant or unpleasant. They're not bad. They have no moral quality to them. Unpleasant feeling. Yep. But for one who searches for a fixed position, unpleasant feeling should definitely not be here. Therefore, agitation. Pleasant feeling. Oh yeah, this is great. This is really having a good time, comfortable. What happens with that? Really just spread that out and settle in it and really anchor that down. And then, the holding on. Or actually the pleasant feeling no longer gives rise to the stimulation. We've got used to it. Come in from the cold. Rain, nice warm hall. Sit down. Nice warm hall. Sit down. Pain in my leg. People moving in out the door. You pick it up. There's a sense when you're finding your place in citta, use the wisdom teachings, is to recognize where does contact cease. Now, once again, this doesn't mean we don't see anything. It means that arising of agitation doesn't occur, or if it does occur, we are moved to that, what's happening here, and deal with it. So it's brought to release. Samudaya nirodha, releasing, ceasing. Let it swing back. And this is certainly what walking meditation, in fact, is a good model, a good example, because it certainly occurs in sitting meditation, but most in sitting meditation we're dealing with like physical pain or energy states. I'm dull, I'm sleeping, I'm agitated, or mind states. And these are then something you can feel yourself locked in by. Whereas the walking does give you that moving energy that's independent from thinking mind. It does support a nice rhythmic fluid energy more fully, more vigorously than breathing does. Breathing is more subtle. No. But even just sitting with your eyes open and maintaining that spacious gaze, so you're not going out externally and you're not going in internally. One of the hindrances or one of the difficulties of sitting meditation is sit with your eyes closed, which I suppose most of us do most of the time. It can be, what can occur is you just go stuck internally into the internally generated world, and not necessarily in a wise, moderated way. It can become obsessive. and stuck. So we do need to have the space around the mental stuff, emotional stuff, psychological stuff, in order to ventilate it, to find room for it to move, release, empty, cease, both for the immediate relief, but also for wisdom to understand that was that, and it's gone, and it was dependent upon that, and there wasn't somebody in there being this or being that, or was this or could be that. There wasn't. It was just this bunged up, clogged. Sanya, meaning, perception, agitation, which get impacted and held. Citta. Citta doesn't move in terms of space or time. It doesn't move up and down the path. It doesn't move, it doesn't live in Cittaviveka or anywhere else. It lives in its karmic domain. And that's where it will continue to live, in its karmic domain, in its world of inherited causes, potential conditions, and habitual effects, habitual results, until it has done the work of understanding and releasing it from that. And this is wisdom. So you have to kind of contact it with resources. With resources. There's always been the moderating teaching. Yes, certainly some citta effects are extremely empowering and delightful, powerful energies. Wise teachers would say, don't get lost in it. Use these to clear out what needs to be cleared, so you can do real work of getting yourself out of the cosmos, or release from the cosmos. Cosmos is much bigger than our physical geography, the cosmos of our psychologies, psychic energies, internal, external. There's a lot of stuff out there. And you can spend millennia trawling through all that, and you won't find the end of it in that. But in the ceasing of contact, then the cosmos does not arise. Ajahn Chah, when he built the Uposatha hall at Wat Pah Pong, he chose to have a walking Buddha. Nice, see. I suppose walking Buddha is a part of the Buddha iconography, but by and large we tend to sitting Buddha. In a country like Britain, we tend to sit because it's warm and sheltered. And in monasteries you tend to sit because you've got a definite place to do it in. And we can all get together, a sense of group support. But actually walking meditation at least as much as sitting in a forest monastery where you can be outside, there's room to do that. Of course it's more difficult if a person's living in a house in town, therefore standing. Meditation, important thing is the element of it is to have that sense of internal, external, and how the citta, in the world of citta, both of those. I'm not the internal, I'm not an external object in a world. There's the arising. I can be moved by the sight of a dog suffering, can cause me deep grief. That arises in citta, grief. The sight of my beloved teacher, rapture arises in citta. A memory in my mind can make me feel deeply sad and depressed, or it can make me feel confident and happy. There's no internal, external in the realm of citta. Those are just the appearances of it, the way we term it. We're living in a world of cause and effect, of conditions that have the potential to arouse and stimulate. And a wise person seeking their welfare will certainly first of all incline towards those skillful conditions which don't just feel good, which certainly helps, but also nourish and strengthen. So yeah, the pleasant feeling is good, but the strengthening, of firming up, of non-distraction, of confidence, of focus, these are the real lasting assets. And with these you can find your place, citta's place where it's upright. And you walk that through experience, checking, how's this touching me? The Bodh's monastery is again quite different from many other forest monasteries, community. Many forest monasteries, more solitude. People don't like community. I don't think, not everybody doesn't like them, but it's certainly because it's high contact. And the most significant thing to contact is, of course, the impressions of other people, of what we think other people think of us, our speech, our habits. These really stir things up. And the Bodh's pretty much deep end approach. There you go, bonk. Right in the midst of it. Never let people get off on their own. The Bodh's never let people live. Never alone, always something getting at you. Kind of, to stimulate, you've got to work with this, until you find that place where you find space. Find the space, stretch, find the space, find your, not only the space but also the firmness within. It's not a firmness of a fixed idea, it's a firmness of a resolute. This is contact. Let's not get reactive. Feel reaction, know how to cool it, steady it, use your body, use your heart, use goodwill. This is for your welfare. And you cultivate like that. In our lives it's very natural, I would imagine, for many of us, myself included, to wish for the welfare of the monastery, wish for the welfare of the Sangha, wish for the welfare of the true Dhamma. These are good intentions. When it comes down to it, the advice is, if you seek your own welfare, the rest will follow. If you find your true welfare, then you'll be of benefit to the monastery, to the Sangha, to the Dhamma. Get it that way round. Then you won't get caught up in righteousness, in over-busyness, in carrying burdens of responsibility, in getting frustrated that things don't work, in endless criticisms and worrying about this, that, and the other. Get the priority, things will then flow. If you maintain that openness to contact, the fruits of your practice are bound to emanate and suffuse the world around you. How could it be any other way? So let's take some time for direct practice.
Good.